Dawn breaks over Hampton Roads, March 8, 1862. Federal sailors scrub wooden decks, unaware their world shatters today. Something monstrous churns southward through morning mist, a floating barn roof, armed with cannons. Naval warfare dies this morning. A new age begins in blood and iron. I press my face against Virginia's gun port, the iron casemate suffocating. Lieutenant John Taylor Wood, Confederate Navy. Outside, Union frigates ride at anchor wooden giants that ruled seas for centuries. My hands shake on the cannon's lanyard. We're about to make history, or sink trying. She resembles a nightmare given form. Confederate engineers built her atop Merrimac's burned hull after Yankees abandoned Norfolk. 10 guns beneath, sloped armor, 1,500 tons of defiance steaming toward Federal blockaders. Sailors call her Virginia. Union men will call her destroyer before sunset paints the water red. Ironclad bearing down! Cumberland's lookout screams, rubbing, disbelieving eyes. Watch Officer Thomas Selfridge orders battle stations. His crew has sunk enemy vessels before smooth routine, confident execution. Today their cannons prove worthless. Today everything they know about naval combat becomes instantly, lethally obsolete. The past drowns this morning. From grounded USS Roanoke, Commander John Marston watches helplessly. His frigate sits immobile on a sandbar, useless. The Confederate monster closes on Cumberland like a predator selecting prey. Cold dread fills Marston's chest. His entire wooden fleet faces extinction. One primitive ironclad could destroy them all before darkness falls. Virginia's ram 1,500 pounds of iron spike strikes Cumberland's starboard hull. Wood explodes inward like matchsticks. Seawater erupts through the gaping wound. The frigate lists violently as sailors scramble across tilting decks. Virginia backs away, mission accomplished. Cumberland begins dying immediately, inevitably, taking 121 souls down. Cumberland's gun crews refuse abandonment. They fire point blank into Virginia's casemate while their ship sinks beneath them. Cannonballs bounce off sloped armor, singing harmlessly into sky. One lodges in plating but penetrates nothing. Water swallows the gun deck. Still they fire, cursing, crying, loading cannons as waves reach their chests. Matthew Tenney, 21, races below for powder cartridges. Water rises fast, knee-deep, then waist-deep. The deck tilts 45 degrees. Tenney slips, tumbles into flooding darkness. Strong hands drag him up, shipmates laughing grimly at death. He delivers the cartridge. His gun fires one final, futile shot before the ocean claims it. Captain William Radford lashes himself to Cumberland's mast, refusing rescue boats. He watches his men drown, helpless, raging. The battle flag flies above water until the final moment, defiant, beautiful, pointless. 121 sailors die today. Their wooden world dies with them. Virginia circles the wreckage, searching for fresh victims. 2 miles away, USS Congress witnesses Cumberland's destruction. Lieutenant Joseph Smith orders his frigate toward shallows where the Ironclad supposedly cannot follow. Congress grounds intentionally, tilting sideways like a beached whale. Smith believes shallow water provides salvation. He miscalculates Virginia's draft, her commander's ruthlessness, and his own approaching death. Virginia opens fire at 800 yards. Hotshot heated cannonballs glowing red slam into Congress's wooden hull. Fire erupts instantly, racing through tarred rigging like liquid flame. Sailors leap overboard, swimming desperately for shore. The frigate becomes floating inferno, black smoke choking Hampton Roads. Hell manifests on water this afternoon. Lieutenant Joseph Smith commands Congress. His brother commands Virginia's forward gun, family divided by war gray uniform versus blue. The Confederate officer fires repeatedly into his brother's burning ship, duty eclipsing blood. Joseph dies from shell fragments. 100 sailors burn or drown. Brothers wage war across iron and wood, love murdered by loyalty. Federal shore batteries pound Virginia from Sewell's Point, desperate to stop her rampage. Solid shot ricochets off armor, whining through smoky air. One lucky round enters a gun port, killing 2 Confederate gunners instantly. Their blood spatters across my face, hot, sticky, smelling of copper. I wipe it away, keep loading mechanically. Our commander, Franklin Buchanan, climbs topside against orders. The old man needs to see his victory firsthand. Union sharpshooter's bullet rips through his thigh, bone-shattering impact. Buchanan collapses, bleeding heavily, cursing his stupidity. Executive Officer Catesby Jones assumes command. Iron protects ships brilliantly. Flesh remains forever vulnerable, fragile, mortal. Evening descends on smoking carnage. 2 Federal frigates destroyed. 340 Union sailors dead. We withdraw toward Norfolk, victorious but damaged. Tomorrow dawn brings more wooden ships to slaughter easy prey, target practice. We cannot imagine what actually approaches through darkness tonight, steaming south from New York. USS Monitor races southward, desperate to reach Hampton Roads. Designer John Ericsson's revolutionary vessel resembles cheesebox on a raft, ugly, strange, impossibly low. 1 revolving turret mounts 2 11-inch guns. Just 2 feet of freeboard above waterline. Sailors call her a coffin. Engineers call her genius incarnate. Monitor nearly drowns during the voyage south. Atlantic waves wash over her low deck constantly. Water pours through hatches, flooding cramped compartments below. Pumps work frantically against the deluge. Lieutenant Samuel Dana Green questions whether they'll arrive alive or sink pathetically before ever firing a shot. The Ironclad wallows sickeningly, barely seaworthy. Green once served under Buchanan teacher and student, mentor and protege. He remembers tactical lessons, aggressive action principles, Buchanan's confident voice during training. Tomorrow, Green must use those lessons against the man who taught them. War transforms mentors into mortal enemies. Memory becomes weapon. Knowledge cuts both ways across battle lines. Monitor arrives midnight, slipping past burning Congress, that funeral pyre still illuminating dark water. Exhausted Federal sailors cheer weakly, hoping their strange savior accomplishes something impossible. The Ironclad anchors near USS Minnesota, last major warship remaining afloat. Green allows his crew 3 hours sleep. Dawn tests everything Ericsson promised about modern warfare. March 9th dawns, gray, cold, forbidding. Virginia emerges from Norfolk, expecting easy destruction. Jones spots Monitor beside Minnesota, small, strange, clearly ironclad. Both crews stare across water for long seconds, recognizing something unprecedented. No officer alive has fought ship to ship between armored vessels. Ancient rules evaporate. Everything changes now. Monitor's turret rotates slowly, massive gears grinding protestingly. 2 gun muzzles track Virginia's approach like predator's eyes. Green orders fire. The turret's interior becomes hell instantaneous. Concussion knocks men unconscious against iron walls. Deafening noise ruptures eardrums permanently. Blood streams from nostrils. Still we reload, hands shaking uncontrollably. Virginia's shells hammer Monitor's turret iron, clanging against iron. Brutal percussion. 1 shot dents armor 3 inches deep without penetrating. Another strikes the deck, bouncing skyward harmlessly. Both crews realize simultaneously: our weapons cannot sink each other. This battle gets decided by endurance, not firepower. Psychology trumps ballistics today. The Ironclads circle like exhausted boxers after 10 rounds. 4 hours of point-blank combat accomplished nothing decisive. Shells ricochet spectacularly into sky. Neither vessel delivers killing blows. Jones attempts ramming, but Virginia's ram broke off yesterday inside Cumberland. The Ironclad scrapes. Monitor's hull metal screaming against metal, accomplishing nothing. Monitor's pilot house tiny iron box atop her deck takes direct hit. Shell fragments blind Commander John Worden. He screams, hands covering his ruined face. Blood streams between fingers, pooling on iron floor. Green assumes command instantly without hesitation. Worden gets carried below, moaning pitifully. The battle continues without pause for casualties or compassion. Both vessels withdraw, exhausted, damaged, inconclusive. Virginia retreats toward Norfolk. Monitor guards Minnesota protectively. The battle ends in tactical stalemate, no victor, no vanquished. Yet everything changed today, irrevocably. Every navy worldwide just became obsolete. Wooden warships, centuries of proud tradition, vanished in one morning's brutal industrial combat. News spreads through capitals like wildfire. British Admiralty watches in horror their magnificent wooden fleet, now worthless overnight. France accelerates ironclad construction frantically. Navies scramble globally, building iron vessels desperately. 2 primitive ironclads fought 4 hours inconclusively. Their clumsy battle revolutionized warfare more than any decisive victory possibly could have accomplished. Virginia never fights again, scuttled when Norfolk falls that May. Monitor sinks in storm off Cape Hatteras, December 31st. 16 sailors drown inside her iron tomb, trapped, screaming uselessly. Both vessels had absurdly brief careers, months, not years. Their encounter lasted mere hours. Yet their legacy transforms naval architecture forever globally. John Worden recovers sight partially after agonizing months. He commands other monitors throughout the war, teaching new captains. Franklin Buchanan's thigh wound heals. He leads Confederate naval forces at Mobile Bay against Farragut. Samuel Greene dies at 30, probably from injury sustained in Monitor's turret. War grinds men down relentlessly. I'm Matthew Tenney, Cumberland's powder monkey. Survive the sinking somehow, luck, youth, strong swimmers nearby. Decades later, my grandchildren beg for stories. We fired until water touched the cannons. I tell them quietly. Our shots bounced off like raindrops. They struggle believing wooden ships once dominated oceans. History becomes mythology quickly. Sailors aboard both Ironclads reported identical experiences afterward. Suffocating darkness inside iron casemates, unbearable heat building as battle progressed, foul air, choking gun smoke, constant terror that next shell finds the one weak spot. Naval combat transformed from sailing ships' romantic open decks to industrial hell incarnate. Progress exacted brutal prices. The battle's immediate strategic impact proved minimal surprisingly. Union blockade remained intact afterward. Virginia's destruction of 2 frigates changed nothing strategically. Yet the encounter's technological implications echoed worldwide permanently. Every maritime power started ironclad programs immediately. Britain launched HMS Warrior. France built La Gloire. The arms race began instantly. American shipyards received frantic orders for monitors, over 60 built by war's end. Most arrived too late for significant combat, patrolling rivers, bombarding coastal forts ineffectively. The ironclad revolution happened quickly, conceptually, but deployed slowly, practically. Technology advances faster than industry produces ships. Strategic transformation requires years, not months of wishful thinking. CSS Virginia's crew, scattered after their ship's destruction, transferred to other ironclads named Atlanta, Tennessee, Albemarle. They carried hard-won knowledge to new vessels, teaching fresh crews. Confederate Navy built approximately 50 ironclads during the war desperately. Most never achieved what Virginia accomplished. Her moment of triumph remains unique, unrepeated, legendary forever. Monitor's original crew mostly survived their ships sinking miraculously. They transferred to new monitors bearing names like Passaic, Montauk, Lehigh, a growing fleet. These veterans taught fresh crews what combat inside iron actually feels like: the noise, heat, fear. Knowledge passed from experienced men to novices. Every monitor's crew included Hampton Roads survivors. Wreckage sites became archaeological treasures eventually. Cumberland's hull remains beneath Hampton Roads, slowly disintegrating. Divers recover artifacts periodically: cannonballs, personal items, skeletal remains still wearing uniforms. Monitor sits upside down off Cape Hatteras, in 240 feet of dark water. Her revolutionary turret lies partially collapsed. Ocean preserves both vessels' historic confrontation underwater. Naval theorists debated Hampton Roads for decades afterward obsessively. Was it drawn battle or strategic Union victory? Virginia dominated wooden ships completely. Monitor prevented Virginia from breaking blockade effectively. Tactical stalemate. Strategic Union success, arguably. Historians argue endlessly today still. Meanwhile, ironclads replaced wooden ships worldwide, rendering the debate somewhat academic ultimately. John Erickson built more monitors continuously, improving designs based on combat experience. His basic revolving turret concept dominated naval architecture for 80 years afterward. Battleships from Dreadnought through Iowa, mounted guns in rotating turrets, direct descendants. Erickson's innovation, tested one March morning, shaped naval combat through 2 world wars. One engineer's genius transformed global military power. Virginia's sloped armor casemate design influenced European ironclads profoundly. French and British navies adopted similar concepts: rapidly armored citadels protecting guns and machinery. Low profiles reduced target area significantly. Hampton Roads demonstrated that armor configuration mattered equally with thickness. Engineers worldwide studied both vessels' strengths and weaknesses obsessively, endlessly, competitively. The battle proved paradoxical, frustratingly. revolutionary ironclads meet. Neither damages the other decisively. Their weapons and armor reached temporary equilibrium accidentally. This balance wouldn't last long, predictably. Navies developed armor-piercing shells, rifled cannons, larger guns rapidly. The arms race between offense and defense began immediately. Hampton Roads started an endless cycle continuing today. 8 months later, both ironclads rest on ocean floors permanently. Virginia, blown apart by her own desperate crew. Monitor, swallowed by storm violently. Their encounter lasted 4 hours on one March morning. Those 4 hours divided naval history into before and after definitively. Wood belonged to in the past irretrievably. Iron owned the future absolutely. Imagine being Cumberland's crew that morning. Your cannons have sunk enemy vessels before routine work, confident execution. You fire at the approaching ironclad. Every shot bounces off impossibly. Water rises around ankles, then knees, then chest. Your weapon, skill, experience suddenly obsolete. Worthless, meaningless. You drown knowing your world has ended forever. Picture yourself inside Virginia's casemate. Iron walls press close, claustrophobic. Gunsmoke chokes lungs painfully. Cannonballs clang against armor like hammers on anvils, deafening, relentless. You cannot see outside except through tiny ports. Are you trapped in fortress or tomb? Each enemy shot might penetrate finally. Fear lives in every gasping breath. Consider Green commanding Monitor after Worden's blinding. You're 28 years old, suddenly in command. Your captain lies below, screaming from ruined eyes. Enormous shells hammer your turret repeatedly. The revolving mechanism might jam any time catastrophically. You must keep fighting, keep the turret moving, keep your terrified crew focused. Leadership means functioning despite terror. Think about the sharpshooter who shot Buchanan that afternoon. You aim carefully at the Confederate figure atop Virginia. Your rifle cracks sharply. The man falls heavily. Did you change history with one bullet? Buchanan's wound put cautious Jones in command. Did your single shot alter the battle's outcome fundamentally? You'll never know your actual impact. Imagine witnessing from shore helplessly. Two metal monsters pound each other for hours inconclusively. Shells ricochet into sky spectacularly. Black smoke obscures everything periodically. Flashes of cannon fire pierce fog. You watch the future being born violently. Wooden ships burning in background represent your dying past. Iron vessels fighting represent something terrifyingly new arriving. The real revolution wasn't tactical, but psychological profoundly. Sailors realized ships could be machines, not living wooden vessels with personalities. Warships became industrial products, manufactured in foundries impersonally. Naval combat transformed into engineering competition coldly. The romantic age of sail died at Hampton Roads that morning. Industrial warfare's grim efficiency replaced it without ceremony. Hampton Roads demonstrated that technological advantage proved temporary always. Virginia dominated on March 8th completely. Monitor negated that dominance on March 9th totally. 48 hours separated complete superiority from tactical stalemate. Military powers learned expensive lessons. Innovation's advantage lasts briefly. Constant research and development become mandatory for naval powers globally forever. Both vessels were primitive, flawed, barely seaworthy honestly. Virginia wallowed sluggishly. Her engines barely functioned reliably. Monitor nearly sank sailing from New York, pathetically. Yet these crude prototypes revolutionized warfare permanently. Perfection was unnecessary practically. Being first with functional ironclads mattered more than having perfect ironclads eventually. Advantage belongs to those deploying imperfect innovation. The battle revealed asymmetry's power clearly. Virginia destroyed wooden ships easily. Monitor stalemated Virginia effectively. But Monitor couldn't sink Virginia either, frustratingly. Rock, paper, scissors logic emerged. Ironclads beat wooden ships. Improved ironclads beat first-generation ironclads. The race escalated immediately. Naval supremacy became a treadmill nobody could leave without falling behind dangerously. Personal courage remained constant despite technological transformation. Cumberland's crew fought while drowning. Congress's sailors burned at their posts. Monitor's gunners kept loading despite concussive trauma. Virginia's crew stayed in their iron coffin while shells hammered armor. Technology transformed warfare's appearance, not its human cost or required bravery. Heroism endures across all eras. The encounter spawned immediate legends nationwide. Newspaper artists drew dramatic illustrations, rarely accurate but widely published eagerly. Veterans embellished stories with each retelling naturally. Inventors claimed credit for various innovations fraudulently. Politicians argued about who deserved praise selfishly. History became mythology before participants stopped fighting. Truth and legend merged into cultural memory, inseparable now. International observers rushed to Hampton Roads afterward eagerly. British naval officers examined wreckage, interviewed survivors extensively. French engineers sketched both vessels' designs obsessively. Every major power sent investigators immediately. The battle became history's most studied naval engagement almost instantly. Reports filled libraries worldwide. One morning's combat generated decades of analysis continuing today. American Navy learned harsh lessons about readiness painfully. Virginia nearly broke the blockade because federal shipyards lacked ironclads completely. Monitor arrived barely in time by pure luck. Had she sunk en route, or arrived hours later, Virginia might have destroyed Minnesota and escaped. National security suddenly depended on industrial capacity more than traditional seamanship. Confederate Navy proved that resourcefulness could partially offset industrial disadvantage temporarily. Virginia was built from burned wreckage in captured shipyard ingeniously. Limited resources produced revolutionary vessel remarkably. But maintaining technological parity required industrial base the Confederacy lacked fundamentally. Virginia's success was impressive. Her uniqueness revealed Southern Navy's fundamental weakness ultimately. The battle demonstrated modern war's prohibitive expense clearly. Virginia cost thousands of dollars, enormous sum for desperately poor Confederacy. Monitor's construction bankrupted Erickson temporarily despite contracts. Naval warfare became capital-intensive suddenly. Only wealthy nations could afford ironclad fleets realistically. Economic strength now limited naval ambitions more than shipbuilding knowledge or seamanship traditions did. Hampton Roads marked naval gunnery's transition permanently. Smoothbore cannons firing solid shot became obsolete overnight. Rifled guns firing explosive shells would dominate henceforth. Armor required constant improvement competitively. Guns grew larger to penetrate thicker armor. Ships grew bigger to carry larger guns. The spiral continued through Dreadnought, through Iowa, through nuclear carriers today. Both crews suffered what we now call post-traumatic stress disorder. The noise, concussion, darkness, and helplessness traumatized survivors permanently. Veterans reported nightmares, hearing problems, anxiety decades later. Industrial combat's psychological toll was just becoming apparent scientifically. The human mind evolved for different warfare. Iron ships introduced stresses human psychology struggled processing or forgetting. The battle's timing proved significant historically. It occurred early in the Civil War, before major land battles established patterns. Hampton Roads showed both sides that innovation mattered critically. Union's industrial capacity gave advantage in technological arms race ultimately. Confederacy won tactical victories, but lost strategic competition inevitably. One naval engagement foreshadowed the war's ultimate outcome clearly. Monitor's sinking on New Year's Eve added poetic tragedy. She survived the year that began with her revolutionary combat barely. 16 men drowned in iron coffin off Cape Hatteras, trapped, screaming, clawing uselessly at hatches. Storm killed the revolutionary vessel where Confederate shells could not. Nature reminded everyone that technology's mastery has limits. Ocean remained more dangerous ultimately. Archaeological recovery of Monitor began in the 1970s carefully. Her turret, engine, anchor were raised painstakingly over years. Artifacts included personal items, weapons, human remains still recognizable. These objects now rest in museums, teaching new generations respectfully. The ironclad that seemed futuristic in 1862 now represents quaint early industrialization. Technology ages quickly. Virginia's wreckage has never been fully recovered, unfortunately. Parts remain beneath silt in Norfolk somewhere. Other pieces were salvaged for scrap metal during the war desperately. The ironclad that terrified Union Navy vanished almost completely physically. Physical evidence scattered, but historical impact remains profound permanently. Sometimes the most influential ships leave minimal archaeological traces. The battle inspired literature, art, poetry for generations afterward. Walt Whitman never witnessed it, but wrote poems imagining the encounter vividly. Artists created countless paintings romantically. Historians wrote hundreds of books analyzing it endlessly. Hampton Roads entered American mythology alongside Gettysburg and Appomattox permanently. The battle became cultural touchstone representing technological transformation's power and terrible cost. Modern navies owe everything to that March morning fundamentally. Aircraft carriers descend from Monitor's revolving turret concept directly. Submarine design borrows from low-profile hull concepts obviously. Armor and weapons remain in perpetual competition globally. Hampton Roads established patterns continuing today unchanged. Nuclear-powered vessels represent evolution, not revolution. The Ironclad's basic concepts still dominate naval architecture. What if Monitor arrived one day late, hypothetically? Virginia might have destroyed Minnesota, broken the blockade, bombarded Washington devastatingly. The Confederacy might have gained European recognition diplomatically. The war's trajectory could have changed dramatically. One ship's timely arrival shaped history. Chance and timing matter as much as courage or innovation. History turns on smaller hinges than we admit. Two crude ironclads met for 4 hours on one March day. Neither won decisively that morning. Both sank within months afterward. Yet that brief, indecisive encounter revolutionized global naval power more than any decisive victory possibly could have accomplished. Sometimes, history's most important battles end without clear victors. The future they create matters infinitely more.